Michael lived in a small town in Ohio, a place where everyone knew each other's names, but not everyone knew each other's struggles. He lived with his mother, Sarah, in a small, weathered house at the edge of town. The paint on the walls was peeling, and the roof leaked slightly when it rained, but Michael never complained. He loved his mother deeply and knew she worked tirelessly at the diner to make sure they had food on the table. Even though life was not easy, Michael had a spirit that was gentle and caring, and he often found joy in small things that others might overlook. Every morning, he would walk to school past rows of houses, waving to neighbors and occasionally stopping to help someone carry groceries or pick up something that had fallen. His teachers often praised him for his kindness, and his friends admired him for his willingness to lend a hand without expecting anything in return. Despite his generous nature, Michael had a simple wish every day, to have a warm meal and a little happiness for his mother and himself. He had learned early that life could be hard, but small acts of goodness could make it brighter. One chilly afternoon, after a long day at school, Michael decided to treat himself to a small sandwich. He had been saving coins in a tin can for weeks, counting each one carefully before heading to the corner store. The smell of fresh bread and melted cheese filled the small shop, making his stomach rumble in anticipation. Michael had been looking forward to this little treat all day. He handed over his coins to the shopkeeper, Mr. Thompson, who smiled at him warmly. "Here you go, Michael. Enjoy it," he said. Michael thanked him and stepped outside into the cool autumn air. The wind carried the scent of fallen leaves and the faint aroma of baked goods from the bakery down the street. He held the sandwich tightly, thinking of the first bite he would take as he walked home. As Michael turned the corner toward his street, he noticed an elderly couple struggling with their groceries. The woman's basket tipped slightly, spilling a few apples onto the sidewalk, while the man tried to steady her, his hands shaking slightly. Michael's heart sank as he watched them. He could see the weariness in their eyes and the fatigue in their movements. It was clear they had been walking for a long time, and their thin coats offered little protection against the crisp autumn air. Without hesitation, Michael approached them. "Excuse me, sir, ma'am. Can I help you carry your bags?" he asked politely. The couple looked up at him with surprise and gratitude. "Oh, young man, that would be wonderful," the woman replied, her voice soft but tired. Michael took their baskets and helped them walk to a nearby bench, where they could rest. He placed the groceries carefully beside them and then reached into his bag. "Here," Michael said, handing his sandwich to the elderly man. "You should eat first." "I can wait." The couple exchanged glances, astonished by his generosity. "Are you sure, son?" the woman asked, her voice trembling slightly. Michael nodded, his eyes serious. "Yes, ma'am. I can wait. You need it more than I do." The old man smiled warmly and broke the sandwich in half, handing one piece to his wife. They ate slowly, savoring each bite, and Michael sat quietly nearby, his own stomach aching with hunger but his heart full of warmth. As they ate, the woman held Michael's hand and said, "God bless you, son. You have a heart of gold. Not many children would do what you just did." Michael felt a flush of pride, mixed with a quiet sadness, knowing he would have to wait a little longer for his own meal. He simply smiled and said, "I just wanted to help." The elderly couple's eyes glistened with tears, and the man patted Michael on the shoulder. "You are a very special boy. Never lose this kindness," he said softly. After the couple had finished their meal, Michael helped them carry the groceries the rest of the way to their small house at the end of the street. They thanked him repeatedly, promising to remember his kindness. Michael waved goodbye and started walking home, his steps slower than usual because of his hunger, but lighter because of the joy he felt in helping others. When he arrived home, his mother was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. She looked up and smiled as Michael walked in. "Did you have a good day?" she asked. Michael nodded but did not mention the sandwich. Instead, he helped her carry the vegetables to the counter and set the table. That evening, they shared a simple dinner of rice and beans, but Michael's heart was full. He knew that even though they did not have much, he had done something meaningful. As Michael lay in bed that night, he thought about the elderly couple and the small sandwich that had brought them comfort. He remembered the look in their eyes, the warmth of their smiles, and the words of the old man. It was a small moment, but it felt monumental to him. He realized that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could create ripples that reached far beyond what one could see. Michael closed his eyes and imagined a future where he could help even more people, where hunger and sadness were replaced with hope and joy. Sleep eventually overtook him, but the dream remained vivid in his mind, a dream where he could make the world a better place, one small act of love at a time. The next morning, Michael woke up to the soft light of the sun streaming through his window. He felt a quiet determination inside him, a promise that he would continue to help others, even when it was difficult. He dressed quickly, ready for another day at school, but his thoughts lingered on the elderly couple and the impact a single act of kindness could have. As he walked through the quiet streets, he noticed small things he had never paid attention to before: the smile of a neighbor tending her garden, the laughter of children playing near the park, and the gentle nods of people passing by. Michael realized that the world was filled with small opportunities to make a difference, and he was determined to seize them whenever he could. Little did Michael know, his simple act of giving his sandwich would not go unnoticed. Sometimes, life has a way of rewarding those who give without expecting anything in return. That very day, as he walked home from school, a stranger noticed him helping an elderly woman across the street. The man watched quietly from his car, impressed by the boy's selflessness and maturity. It was a small moment, but it planted a seed that would grow into something extraordinary. Michael continued his walk, unaware that this chance encounter was the beginning of a story that would change his life forever. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Michael sat by his window and looked at the stars. He thought about the people he had helped, the lessons he had learned, and the dreams he held in his heart. Though he was just a boy in a small town, he understood something important: kindness had power. It could heal wounds, brighten days, and create hope where there was none. Michael drifted to sleep with a smile on his face, ready for whatever tomorrow might bring, knowing that the smallest acts could sometimes have the greatest impact. The morning sun rose over the small town of Ohio, casting a warm, golden glow across the quiet streets. Michael woke early, as usual, with a sense of purpose in his heart. The previous day's act of kindness weighed pleasantly on his mind, and he found himself thinking about the elderly couple and the small sandwich he had given them. He wondered if they had enough food at home and hoped they were safe and warm. Despite the modest breakfast his mother prepared, a bowl of oatmeal and a few slices of bread, Michael felt satisfied. Not because of the food, but because of the joy that giving had brought him. Sarah noticed the sparkle in her son's eyes as he ate. "You seem happy today," she said with a smile. Michael nodded, trying not to seem too proud, though he could not hide the warmth in his heart. "I just helped someone yesterday," he replied simply. Sarah reached over and patted his hand. "You are growing up to be a very good young man, Michael. I am proud of you." After school, Michael took the usual path home, waving at neighbors and stopping briefly to help a woman carry a box of laundry up the stairs to her porch. He was so used to small acts of kindness that they had become a natural part of his day. As he turned the corner near the park, he noticed something unusual: a sleek black car parked along the sidewalk, with its windows slightly tinted. Michael hesitated for a moment, curious but cautious. He had seen many strangers passing through the town before, but something about this car seemed different. A man in a neatly pressed suit stepped out and looked around. He had a kind face, with soft eyes that seemed to observe everything carefully. Michael did not notice the man at first, too focused on the few leaves that had fallen on the sidewalk and the children playing nearby. The man watched Michael quietly for a few moments, seeing how the boy noticed the smallest details and helped those in need. He saw the way Michael gently helped a child untangle a kite string and how he politely held the door open for an elderly woman carrying groceries. There was something about Michael: a sincerity, a quiet courage, a heart that seemed far older than his years. The man smiled to himself and decided to follow him at a distance, wanting to learn more about this remarkable boy. Michael continued walking home, unaware of the observer, lost in thoughts about the elderly couple he had helped the day before. That evening, as Michael was finishing his homework, a sharp knock echoed through the small house. He jumped slightly, looking toward the door. "I'll get it, Mom," he called out. Sarah wiped her hands on her apron and smiled. "Be careful, Michael." He opened the door to find the man from the black car standing there, holding a briefcase. "Hello, young man. My name is William Harris," the man said, his voice gentle but firm. "I couldn't help but notice your kindness in our town recently. I have something I would like to discuss with you." Michael blinked in surprise, unsure if he had heard correctly. What do you mean, sir?" he asked cautiously. William smiled. "May I come in? It will be easier to talk inside." Michael stepped aside, and the man entered, carefully placing his briefcase on the table. Sarah watched quietly from the kitchen doorway, curious and a little nervous. William took a seat and looked at Michael with genuine warmth. "Yesterday, I saw you helping several people, especially the elderly couple," he began. Michael's eyes widened. You saw me?" he asked. William nodded. "Yes, I did. It was a small act of kindness, but it spoke volumes about your character. Not many children would give up their own food to help strangers." Michael felt his cheeks flush. I just wanted to help. I didn't think it was a big deal," he said softly. William leaned forward slightly, his eyes serious but kind. "Sometimes, the smallest acts can have the biggest impact, Michael. That's why I wanted to meet you. You have a rare heart, and I believe it should be encouraged and supported." Michael listened, unsure what to say. He had never received such attention from anyone outside his family, and it made him feel both nervous and proud. Sarah stepped closer, her hands clasped together. "Mr. Harris, it's very kind of you to say that. Michael has always been thoughtful, but he never expects anything in return. We just try to do our best with what we have." William nodded. "I understand, Mrs. Thompson. That is why I am here. I want to give Michael an opportunity not just for himself, but for others as well. There are programs and projects I manage that help children with big hearts like his, giving them a chance to grow, learn, and make a difference in the world. But first, I wanted to meet the boy who shows such courage and kindness in his daily life." Michael's eyes widened further, and he looked down at his shoes, feeling both shy and amazed. "Me? Really?" he whispered. "Yes, Michael," William said gently. "I know this might seem sudden and confusing, but I want to help you continue doing what you love, helping people, making life better, and growing into a fine young man. I also want to provide for your education and give you tools that can make your efforts even stronger." Michael could hardly believe it. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder, squeezing it gently. "Michael," she said, her voice soft, "this is incredible. But remember, it is your heart that matters most. This is just a chance to do more of the good you are already doing." Michael nodded slowly, still trying to take in the reality of the situation. Over the next hour, William explained more about his work and how he had been looking for children who truly cared about others, not for recognition or reward, but because it was the right thing to do. He spoke about programs that could provide scholarships, mentorship, and community projects that Michael could participate in. He also explained that he wanted to follow Michael's progress and ensure that his kind nature would be supported in every way possible. Michael listened carefully, his imagination running wild with possibilities. He thought about helping more elderly people in his town, organizing small community events, and even starting programs to feed hungry families. His heart raced with excitement and determination. By the time William left that evening, Michael's mind was full of dreams and hope. He closed the door behind him and leaned against it, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. "Mom," he said softly, "did that really just happen?" Sarah hugged him tightly. "Yes, it did, Michael. And I think it's the beginning of something wonderful for you and everyone around you." Michael lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, imagining the future. He thought about the old couple, about the children in the park, about his mother, and about all the ways he could make life better for others. The thought that one small act, a sandwich given out of kindness, could lead to this moment filled him with awe. The next morning, Michael walked to school with a sense of purpose and anticipation. Even the crisp autumn air seemed brighter, and the colors of the leaves seemed more vivid than ever. His friends noticed a new light in his eyes and asked if something had happened, but he simply smiled, knowing that some things were meant to be shared only when the time was right. Michael continued his daily acts of kindness, but now, they carried a new meaning. Each small gesture reminded him that even simple actions could lead to big changes, and that the world often noticed goodness, even when it seemed invisible. Meanwhile, William Harris had returned to his office, reviewing notes about the children he had observed in the town. Michael stood out immediately, not just because of his actions, but because of the way he carried himself with quiet confidence, humility, and a natural sense of responsibility. William made a note to stay in touch with Michael, planning ways to involve him in community projects that could grow into something larger. He believed that children like Michael were the future, and that their hearts could inspire entire communities. Back in his small house, Michael shared the story with his mother over breakfast, though he left out some details, unsure how much to explain. Sarah listened, her eyes shining with pride and tears. She hugged him again, whispering, "I always knew you were special, Michael. Now the world is starting to see it too." Michael smiled, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness, but also a deep sense of responsibility. He realized that kindness was not just about small gestures. It could open doors, build connections, and create opportunities that could change lives, not just for him, but for everyone he touched. That week, Michael continued helping people around town, from carrying groceries to comforting those who were lonely or sad. He felt stronger and braver, knowing that someone like William Harris had noticed him and believed in his potential. It was a feeling he had never experienced before, a quiet confidence that came from knowing that doing good, even when unnoticed, could eventually lead to wonderful surprises. And in his heart, Michael promised that he would never let the world's difficulties make him less kind. After the meeting with William Harris, Michael felt a mix of excitement and nervousness that he had never experienced before. Every step he took through the small streets of his town seemed different, as if the world itself had shifted slightly to accommodate something new and hopeful. At school, he found himself thinking about the possibilities that William had mentioned: scholarships, mentorship, and opportunities to help the community in bigger ways. He wondered how he could balance these new chances with his daily responsibilities at home and the small acts of kindness that had always been his nature. Michael's mother noticed the change in him immediately. "You seem more thoughtful than usual," she said one evening as they sat at their small kitchen table, sharing a modest dinner. Michael smiled, though he could feel a flutter of anxiety in his chest. "I am thinking about the future, Mom," he said softly. "I want to help more people, but I don't know where to start." Sarah reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. "You've already started, Michael. You have a good heart, and that is the most important thing. Everything else will follow." A few days later, William returned to the town, this time bringing with him small gifts of supplies, books, and tools to help Michael learn and grow. Michael was amazed by the simple yet thoughtful items: a notebook, pencils, a backpack, and even a few books about leadership and helping communities. William explained that these were not just gifts, but tools to guide him on a journey of kindness, knowledge, and growth. Michael carefully examined each item, feeling both gratitude and responsibility. "I will use them well, sir," he promised, his voice steady. William nodded, pleased with the boy's seriousness. "I know you will, Michael. I see the care in your actions. It is rare, and it deserves to be nurtured." That evening, Michael spent hours studying the books, taking notes, and thinking about ways he could help more people in his town. For the first time, he felt that his small acts of kindness could grow into something bigger, something that could touch the lives of many. Despite the new opportunities, Michael continued to help people in his town in the same quiet, consistent way he always had. He still carried groceries for neighbors, helped children in the park, and checked on the elderly couple he had fed with his sandwich. But now, there was a sense of purpose behind each action, a knowledge that he could do more and that someone believed in him. The elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, noticed the change as well. "You seem brighter, Michael," Mrs. Allen said one afternoon as he helped her trim her small garden. Michael smiled. "I'm just trying to learn how to help people better," he said humbly. Mr. Allen nodded, understanding that the boy's heart was bigger than his years, and that his intentions were pure. At school, Michael found himself more confident, though he never let his confidence turn into pride. He began sharing ideas with classmates about small projects to help the community: cleaning up the park, organizing a small food drive for families in need, and creating care packages for the elderly. His teachers noticed the spark in him and offered support, giving him extra materials and encouragement. Michael's friends were inspired by his energy, and many joined in his efforts. Even though he had only recently met William Harris, Michael felt a new sense of responsibility, knowing that someone believed in him and was helping him grow. Each small success, each smile he saw from those he helped, added to his determination to do more. One afternoon, Michael decided to visit the elderly couple again, carrying with him a small bag of groceries and a few warm blankets. As he approached their house, he noticed that the old man looked worried. "Is everything all right, Mr. Allen?" Michael asked gently. Mr. Allen sighed. It's just been hard lately. We don't have much, and some days are tougher than others. Michael thought for a moment and then smiled. I brought some groceries and blankets. Maybe this will make things a little easier. The couple's eyes filled with tears, and they thanked him over and over again. Michael felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that even small gestures could make a big difference in someone's life. As weeks passed, Michael's life began to change in subtle ways. He was still the same kind-hearted boy, but now he had a sense of purpose and direction. He spent his afternoons learning from William's guidance, reading books about leadership, and thinking about ways to make his town a better place. He kept journals filled with ideas for helping others, documenting not only his successes but also the challenges he faced. Michael learned that being kind was not always easy. Sometimes people did not notice, or others would be unkind, but he also learned that persistence and a sincere heart could overcome obstacles. Each day was a lesson, and Michael embraced them with patience and determination. One chilly evening, Michael walked home from the small library, his backpack heavy with books and notes. He passed the park, where children were playing, and saw a little boy sitting alone, looking sad. Michael approached him and asked if he was all right. The boy explained that he had lost his toy and felt upset. Michael knelt beside him, listening carefully, and then offered to help search. Together, they found the toy under a bush, and the boy's face lit up with joy. Michael smiled, realizing once again that small acts of care could bring happiness to others, sometimes in ways that seemed minor but were truly meaningful. At home, Michael shared his day with his mother, recounting the small victories and challenges he faced. Sarah listened patiently, her eyes shining with pride. "Michael, you are growing into a wonderful young man. Your heart is strong, and your kindness is inspiring," she said softly. Michael nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He understood that he had a responsibility not just to help people, but to maintain his integrity and compassion, no matter what challenges life presented. As the days turned into weeks, Michael began to realize the full impact of his connection with William Harris. He was offered chances to attend workshops, learn new skills, and meet other young people who shared his desire to help others. Michael approached each opportunity with humility and curiosity, eager to learn but always remembering that the core of his actions was love and care for others. He began to dream bigger, imagining projects that could feed families, provide clothing for the elderly, and bring the community closer together. The small town that once seemed quiet and limited now felt full of possibility. One evening, as Michael prepared for bed, he thought about how far he had come in such a short time. He remembered the first sandwich he had given to the elderly couple and the small gestures that had built the foundation of his character. He realized that life often rewarded those who gave without expecting anything in return, and that true happiness came from helping others. Michael closed his eyes, feeling a deep sense of peace and purpose. He knew that challenges would come, but he also knew that with patience, courage, and kindness, he could face them and continue to make a difference. In the quiet of the night, Michael dreamed of a future where every small act of kindness created a ripple of hope across his town and beyond. He saw himself helping families, teaching children, and working alongside people who shared his vision of a better world. Though he was only 12, Michael understood that the power of the heart was greater than any obstacle, and that even a small boy with a simple act of generosity could change lives in ways that seemed impossible. With a final, determined sigh, he drifted into sleep, ready to face a new day with courage, compassion, and a heart that would not waver, knowing that the journey ahead was just beginning. The following weeks were full of excitement and new experiences for Michael, but they also brought unexpected challenges that tested his patience, courage, and kindness. One bright Saturday morning, Michael was walking to the small community center where he had volunteered to help organize a food drive for families in need. He carried boxes of canned goods and bags of bread, carefully arranging them on tables. The center was buzzing with children and adults, all working together, and Michael felt a sense of pride seeing so many people cooperating for a good cause. Suddenly, a boy named David, who had often teased him at school, started mocking his efforts. "Why are you always helping everyone, Michael? Don't you ever think about yourself?" David shouted, loud enough for others to hear. Michael paused, feeling a pang of frustration and embarrassment. He knew David did not understand the joy of helping others, but the words still stung. Michael took a deep breath, remembering the lessons William Harris had taught him about patience, humility, and leading by example. Instead of responding with anger, he smiled and continued arranging the food. He said gently, "I just want to make life a little easier for people who need help." David shrugged but said nothing further, and Michael turned back to his work, realizing that true kindness sometimes required courage in the face of criticism. After the event, Michael decided to visit the elderly couple he had helped before. Mr. and Mrs. Allen had become like family to him, and he wanted to check on them, bringing a few extra blankets and a small basket of fresh vegetables. As he approached their house, he noticed that the front gate was slightly open. A wave of concern swept over him, and he hurried to the door. "Mr. Allen? Mrs. Allen," he called gently. The elderly couple appeared at the doorway, smiling faintly but looking tired. "Michael, dear boy, it's good to see you," Mrs. Allen said. Michael noticed that their cupboards were almost empty, and a chill filled the room despite the small stove burning in the corner. He realized that his help was needed more than ever. He quickly set down the basket and blankets, unpacking them carefully, and together they arranged the food. The couple's gratitude was immense, but Michael also noticed the deep concern in their eyes, as if they were hiding worries he could not see. That evening, Michael returned home, exhausted but determined. He sat at the table, writing notes in his journal about the day's experiences. He reflected on the teasing at the food drive, the condition of the elderly couple, and the ways he could continue to help others. His mother watched him quietly, proud of his determination but concerned about the weight he carried on his young shoulders. "Michael, you are doing so much," she said softly. "But you also need to take care of yourself. It's okay to ask for help." Michael nodded, realizing she was right. Even though he wanted to help everyone, he could not do it alone, and there was strength in seeking guidance and support. The next week brought an unexpected surprise. William Harris returned to the town, accompanied by a team of volunteers who had come to help with Michael's projects. Michael was thrilled but also nervous. He wanted to show them that he could manage the community efforts, but he also worried that he might make mistakes. William reassured him gently. "Michael, it's okay to learn. Mistakes are part of growth. What matters is your heart and your intention." Michael took a deep breath and guided the volunteers in organizing a small community garden, which would provide fresh vegetables for families in need. He explained each step carefully, delegating tasks and encouraging everyone to contribute. As the day progressed, the garden began to take shape, and Michael felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he had experienced before. He realized that leadership was not about being in charge, but about helping others find their own strengths and working together for a common goal. Despite these positive experiences, challenges continued to arise. One rainy afternoon, Michael received a note from school informing him that his family could no longer afford certain supplies needed for his upcoming classes. He felt a wave of worry and disappointment, knowing that education was a key part of his future and that he wanted to continue learning and helping others. He decided to talk to William about it, hoping for guidance. When William visited that evening, Michael explained the situation. William listened carefully, then smiled. "Michael, you have already proven that your heart is strong. Now, let's make sure your mind has the tools it needs. I can help with your supplies and also arrange extra tutoring if needed. You deserve every chance to succeed." Michael felt a deep sense of relief and gratitude, realizing that his dedication and kindness had opened doors he had never imagined. As autumn gave way to early winter, Michael faced another challenge that tested his emotional strength. A young girl named Lily, who had recently moved into the town, was struggling with loneliness and bullying at school. Michael noticed her sitting alone in the park one afternoon, shivering in the cold. He approached her gently and asked if she wanted to talk. Lily hesitated at first but then shared how she felt invisible and unwelcome. Michael listened carefully, offering comfort and encouragement. He invited her to join the community garden project and assured her that she could make friends there and contribute in meaningful ways. Over the next few weeks, Michael supported Lily, helping her gain confidence and teaching her the joy of giving to others. He realized that kindness was not just about feeding or helping materially, but also about listening, comforting, and guiding those who needed emotional support. One particularly cold evening, Michael returned home to find his mother worried. "Michael, your father's old friend called," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "He wants to meet with you about some family matters." Michael felt a flicker of anxiety. He had never known much about his father, who had passed away before he was born, but he understood that some family history might now be coming to light. The next day, a kind-looking man arrived at their home, carrying a small leather folder. He introduced himself as Robert, Michael's father's friend, and explained that he had information and advice about opportunities Michael could pursue in the future. Michael listened attentively, feeling the weight of responsibility but also a sense of hope. He realized that life often presented challenges and surprises simultaneously, and that courage, kindness, and an open heart could guide him through both. As winter deepened, Michael continued his acts of kindness despite the cold and the occasional setbacks. He coordinated donations of winter clothing, helped clear snow for elderly neighbors, and visited families struggling with the harsh weather. Each act brought small rewards of gratitude and happiness, reinforcing his belief that helping others created a ripple effect of hope. He also continued learning from William Harris and other mentors, understanding that kindness paired with knowledge and skill could create lasting change. He began planning larger projects for the spring, dreaming of a town where no one would feel neglected or alone. One evening, as Michael sat by the window watching snowflakes drift silently from the sky, he reflected on all he had learned in the past few months. He thought about the small sandwich he had given to the elderly couple, the teasing at the food drive, the lonely girl he had helped, and the support from William Harris. Each experience had shaped him, teaching him patience, courage, humility, and the power of a generous heart. Michael realized that life was a series of challenges and opportunities, and that true happiness came not from wealth or recognition, but from the love and care one shared with others. He closed his journal, feeling a quiet strength and determination. No matter what the future held, he knew that he would continue to act with kindness, courage, and compassion, ready to face any challenge with a heart that refused to grow cold, knowing that every small act of love could make the world a brighter place. Spring arrived in the small town, and with it came a sense of renewal and hope that seemed to touch every corner of the streets Michael had walked for years. Flowers bloomed along the sidewalks, the air carried a soft warmth, and the laughter of children echoed through the parks. Michael had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident over the past months, yet his heart remained as humble and generous as ever. He continued to work on the community garden, help neighbors, and support those who were lonely or struggling, but now he also had a vision that went beyond the small acts of kindness he had started with. One sunny morning, as Michael tended the vegetable rows, William Harris arrived with a wide smile and a gleam of excitement in his eyes. "Michael, today is a special day," William said, handing him an envelope. Michael looked at it curiously, noticing the elegant handwriting. He opened it carefully, and his eyes widened as he read the words inside. The envelope contained news that he had been selected to receive a scholarship and mentorship program that would allow him to attend a prestigious school and participate in projects designed to help children like him make a larger impact on their communities. Michael could hardly believe it. His mind raced with excitement, hope, and gratitude, but also with a quiet nervousness about the changes ahead. William explained that the scholarship was not just about academics but about nurturing Michael's leadership, kindness, and ability to inspire others. It included resources to support his education, mentorship from experienced professionals, and opportunities to travel and learn about community projects in other towns and cities. Michael felt overwhelmed with emotion. He thought about the small sandwich he had given to the elderly couple months ago, the teasing at the food drive, and all the moments that had taught him patience and courage. It amazed him to realize that one act of kindness could create ripples that changed a life forever. He looked at William and said softly, I don't know what to say. I just want to keep helping people." William smiled warmly. "That is all that matters, Michael. Your heart is your greatest gift, and this is just a way to help you use it even more effectively." That afternoon, Michael returned home and shared the news with his mother. Sarah's eyes filled with tears of joy, and she hugged him tightly. "Michael, this is incredible. You have worked so hard, and now the world is recognizing your heart," she said, her voice trembling with pride. Michael felt a rush of emotions: happiness, gratitude, and a quiet determination to live up to the trust that William and others had placed in him. He realized that all the challenges he had faced, from teasing at school to helping struggling families, had prepared him for this moment. He understood that kindness and courage were not just traits but responsibilities that he would carry forward. That evening, Michael sat at his window, looking at the stars, reflecting on how far he had come. He thought about the elderly couple, Lily, and every person who had touched his life or whom he had tried to help. He felt a profound sense of connection, knowing that each small act of care had contributed to the larger journey that now lay before him. Over the next few weeks, Michael prepared for the new chapter of his life. He organized his belongings, packed books and notes, and spent time reflecting on what he had learned. William Harris continued to mentor him, offering guidance on leadership, compassion, and problem solving. Michael visited the elderly couple regularly, helping them prepare their home for spring and ensuring they had everything they needed. He also continued working with Lily and other children, teaching them about teamwork, responsibility, and the joy of helping others. Each day was busy and sometimes exhausting, but Michael felt fulfilled in ways he had never imagined. He realized that true happiness came from giving, learning, and sharing with others, and he embraced every moment with an open heart. The day of his departure for the scholarship program arrived, and Michael felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering words of encouragement and love. The elderly couple and Lily joined them, smiling and wishing him well. "You have a heart that will change the world, Michael," Mrs. Allen said softly. "Remember, no matter where you go, kindness and courage will guide you." Michael nodded, feeling tears in his eyes. He promised them he would continue to help, to learn, and to grow, knowing that their support and belief in him had been an essential part of his journey. As he stepped into the car with William, ready to leave for the program, Michael took one last look at his small town, the streets he had walked countless times, the people he had helped, and the places that had shaped his heart. He understood that he would carry all of this with him, no matter where life took him. During the journey, Michael reflected on the lessons he had learned. He thought about patience when faced with teasing, courage when helping those in need, humility in accepting guidance, and determination to continue even when challenges seemed overwhelming. He realized that life had a way of rewarding those who acted with a sincere heart, and that the smallest gestures could lead to the most extraordinary outcomes. Michael thought about the sandwich, the food drives, the community garden, and the friendships he had built. Each moment had been a step toward this new chapter, a chapter that promised not only growth for himself but also greater opportunities to help others. At the scholarship program, Michael met other children and young mentors who shared his desire to make a difference. He quickly formed friendships and began participating in projects that improved communities, from building small libraries to organizing food drives in different towns. Michael's leadership skills grew, but more importantly, his heart remained humble and kind. He inspired others not through force or pride, but through the sincerity of his actions and the quiet strength of his character. He learned to balance his ambitions with compassion, always remembering that true success came from lifting others and sharing joy, knowledge, and support. Months later, Michael returned briefly to his small town for a visit. The elderly couple and his mother were waiting at the doorstep, smiling warmly. Michael stepped out of the car, carrying small gifts and stories from his travels, but he felt that the greatest gift he had received was the trust, support, and love from those who had believed in him. The town looked familiar but also different, as if his heart had grown along with the places he had seen. Michael walked through the streets, helping neighbors and sharing his experiences, realizing that no matter how far he traveled, the lessons of kindness, courage, and empathy would always guide him. One sunny afternoon, Michael returned to the elderly couple's home, carrying a basket of fresh vegetables and flowers from the community garden. Mr. and Mrs. Allen greeted him with hugs and smiles, proud of the young man he was becoming. "Michael, you've grown so much," Mrs. Allen said. "But your heart remains the same, and that is what matters most." Michael knelt beside them, arranging the flowers, and felt a warmth that no recognition or scholarship could match. He realized that true reward came not from wealth or fame, but from the joy of giving and the love of those around him. As the sun set over the town, Michael stood by the window of his small room, looking at the horizon. He thought about the journey from that first small sandwich to the incredible opportunities before him. Every act of kindness, every moment of courage, and every challenge he had faced had led to this point. He understood that life would continue to bring challenges, but with a heart full of compassion and courage, he could face them all. Michael smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace and purpose. The world was wide, full of possibilities, and he was ready to continue his journey not just for himself, but for everyone whose lives he could touch with kindness, love, and generosity. He knew that even a small boy from a humble town could create ripples that changed the world, and he was determined to do just that, carrying hope, courage, and a heart of gold wherever life took him.